if you have to invest in anything this coming year, you had to pick one out of this 7. Invest in yourself.
Good Thursday morning, Coach Robbie.
Good morning, Michael.
I must be ready to...
I'm in the spirit.
You are in the spirit.
I mean, you know, it's funny. I didn't wake up in the spirit. I'm as most of these 7 or 8 listeners know, I'm a giant Thanksgiving fan. But I was walking back. I'm at the office today. I was walking by the kitchen, and there was a person handing out candy canes.
Ooh.
Yeah, which is, you know, a very underrated candy in my opinion, but it got me in the Christmas spirit. And right before that, I had sent you a text. I don't know if you got it or not, but that we would have a little Christmas cast today. But
I did not get it either.
No, yeah, we're gonna do a little. Yeah, I noticed that when you started Skyping me at 10. But we're gonna have a little Christmas cast today. And hey, if it's your first time listening, we appreciate it. Welcome aboard, Crushing Iron Podcast 329.
329, the Christmas cast.
The Christmas cast. We come to you twice a week, traditionally on Mondays and Thursdays. Sometimes just twice a week, depending on the holidays, which we have quite a few coming up here in the next few weeks. So, hey, we appreciate you tuning in. Yes, this is a triathlon-related podcast, but we also cover all things life, training, and how those two things intersect and complement each other and sometimes take away. And Mike and I, as both coaches and athletes ourselves, do our best to share our experiences, both personally and then as coaches, and also some of those stories of our athletes to help hopefully you find your way in what can oftentimes be a very confusing sport with lots of information and then a lot of internal and external expectations that we put on ourselves. And hey, if we can have an open conversation and dialogue, which is what we usually do, and you can benefit from it, then hey, that's our goal for each and every podcast, and that will be, again, what our goal is for today.
Yep, we're all about happy and healthy, and evidently Christmas as well.
Happy, healthy, and holidays. You know, listen, this isn't really going to be a Christmas cast, but
okay.
I mean, it kind of is. But
I've been
really.
putting my phone down more often, so I didn't see the text.
Hey, kudos to you for that. I know I had an athlete a couple weeks ago that, and I mean a couple weeks ago, I think last week, that was like, hey, why don't you do like a Christmas cast, like in terms of what would be some of the top things you would ask for Christmas that would be somewhat triathlon related.
The shortest podcast in history for you.
Shortest podcast in history. Number 1, be consistent. Ask for consistent. No, I did. I actually thought through it, and I was thinking this morning, and I found 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 things that I would look for this time of year if I was an athlete. No, it's not going to be like your best and fastest aero helmet. It's not going to be a wetsuit. These are hopefully going to be actionable items or issues that you could address this time of year. A lot of these you can ask for. I think 1, 2, 3, at least 5 or 6 out of the 7 you can ask for to get assistance with. That I believe are some of the best. I don't want to consider them purchases, because we already live in a world and a society where everyone thinks you can purchase their way out of everything, purchase their way to happiness, purchase their way to better performance, and that's what we love to do because it's quick, it's immediately gratifying. It doesn't require us to do a lot of thinking and hard work and work up a good sweat. It's just the click of a mouse, the filling of an Amazon cart, the whatever it is. It's all about purchasing, and that's what triathletes also just love to. They love to purchase things because it makes them feel better about getting better. But the truth is there are a few things, 6 or 7 things specifically, that if you had to allocate a specific amount of money or time, that I believe are sound investments. Now, and these, again, none of these things that I'm going to mention are things that you can just buy and wear. They're things have to actually put to work. So I'm not going to put like, number one is not going to be, you should go purchase a Rudy helmet, for 55% off via USA Triathlon email. No, because I think those helmets are terrible, but it's not going to be anything like that, and that's not an endorsement. But yeah, that's where I want to go today. I figure it'd be fun, but also actionable things that I would love to see athletes really look at addressing this time of year that can honestly, they're just 7 things you should look at year round, in my opinion, to help you become a better athlete, not become one tomorrow, but help you like we always talk about, to help set yourself up for success. And so that's the idea I had for the podcast today. I'm in, man.
You're in? As long as you add C26 gear.
C26 gear, it's on there somewhere. Actually, that's why it was funny. Allie, I'm in the conference room right now. Allie's back in the office churning out hat and visors. We just got some new hats and visors in for the team, and she's shipping those out faster than UPS right now. She was in there. She's a shipping machine, so she's doing that. And she was like, "Hey, what's the topic you got for the podcast today?" And I was like, "Well, 99 times out of 100, if you asked me that, I wouldn't have any idea what it was going to be until Mike started talking. But since you asked, I actually have a plan." And then when I said like 6 things I would ask for Christmas, she got like really irritated because she thought, she thought originally it was like my list. And every year around this time, things get a little heated because I never have a list. I just don't have a lot of things.
So she was like, wait, I always ask if you're listening, now you're going to go public.
Like, I'm asking for, so she was a little bit, I got the side eye, and I could feel it. I wasn't even looking at her, and I could feel it like burning, like sizzling the hair in the back of my skull. Anyway.
Your Christmas list is like lounge pants.
Listen, lounge pants are. I need my seasonal lounge pants, the one pair of gray or darker colored sweatpants that I can wear for the rest of the year. And then, listen, there is no. And I think you can get behind this, and I think most people would, even though they don't want to admit it. There is nothing better than purchasing things when you don't have to spend your own money. So I'm a huge gift card guy because I don't like to buy things, but when I do, I don't need things or want things because I just don't like to spend money. But if I am going to spend it, there's nothing better than not spending your own. So get a gift card. Like I've even asked for like Kroger gift cards before or Costco gift cards because I have like one of my best feelings is like going to Costco or the grocery store and like racking up on groceries for the week and then swiping the gift card, baby. None of it's going or somebody, and it's just useful stuff.
So you don't buy like extravagant foods with these gift cards, like stuff that you wouldn't need. You're a staple guy. You're not no anchovies or anything crazy.
No, I'm a huge staple guy. I'm like, all right, I usually go through this. I'm going to get 19 boxes of the really good Cliff Bars. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use stuff that I know I'm going to have. Like, here, listen. Here's a great example. This isn't like Christmas related or Christmas like gift card related. But around this time every year, not EFS, but First Endurance. If you use their products like EFS Pro or EFS or Ultragen, Optogen, whatever, it's a brand I'm a huge fan of. I've always used their products. But around this time every year, they have like big BOGO sales. Like, so they'll do buy one, get one free. And there is no limit to what you can purchase. And so I think last year I spent like $650 on EFS Pro. And I haven't bought a can since. I still have like 9 to go through. I think you've probably seen them before when you come over and when you come to Chattanooga, we go run. I get out like over in the cabin. I've still got like 10 containers in there.
Yeah. You're like, smorgasbord.
Christmas. Yeah, they're from last Christmas. and they're going to last me another like 3 months. So I'm actually going to skip the BOGO sale this year. Anyway, yeah, I know I'm tempted, but I'm not doing it. On to more important things.
All right, how are you going to set me up, man, for success?
The number one, and speaking of fueling, is a race fueling plan. This is one of the most and you can call it whatever you want to, but this is one of the most underrated actionable items you can have in your arsenal if you race long distance. I mean, like 70.3s or fulls. I am not a sports nutritionist. I'm not a sports dietitian. I never claimed to be. I can give out general guidelines. And over the past year, after having done one of these myself and getting a good recommendation from another athlete, a very high-level athlete that I'm very good friends with, she recommended that I go and use the Core Diet race fueling plan. And when our team has a discount code with them, and I've sent a ton of people their way, and I had great results from it. And then I've also had basically every single athlete that's used them has had nothing but great things to say. This isn't like, yes, are they a great company? Absolutely, they do very good work. But this is more about finding out exactly how much you need and how much you're not getting. And I think every athlete that has done this, because basically what you do is, and when I say race fueling plan, I mean figure out the exact formula that you need to perform your best on race day. Like so many athletes just kind of do what their friends use. They see what a professional athlete uses, and they just kind of, let's be honest, and I think you're probably one of them, most athletes just kind of wing it. I think a little bit of here, a little bit of here. I can just probably swing by the Shell station and, grab a couple of G2s on the way to my ride and drink that and think that they're getting what they need. They don't have any idea exactly what it is that they need. And yes, can you give out general guidelines in terms of like how many calories you need to consume an hour? Sure. But in terms of fluid intake and replacing of sodium, which are the two biggest ones, most athletes are just insanely below what they actually need to have. Like I've seen athletes that have had to double what they've actually been taking in terms of fluid and sodium intake. And so again,
wow.
we always go back, and I said this I believe in the previous podcast or a couple of them, is that the run always gets the the bad end of the stick. But so many times it's also just about piss poor fueling. You just didn't fuel enough on a bike portion to where you probably overexerted, right? And then you're asking your body to run when you overextended it on the bike and being underfueled. So finding out a fueling plan that works for you specifically, and the way they operate is you have to get body fat percentage. You have to do a bike test on the indoor trainer. You have to weigh yourself before and after with fluids and anything you ate and then without. Again, listing it all. Then you have to give your races, what climate they're going to be in, how long they're going to be in, how long you're going to be. Because again, the intensity level that you're going to race at and for how long is also a huge determining factor in your nutrition. If you're a 9:30 Ironman guy and you're going to be racing at 80%, your nutrition and fluid intake is going to be vastly different from an athlete who's going to be out there for 15 and a half hours, likely putting out anywhere from 50 to 65% effort. Those are going to look and they're going to different, but also this is a great time of year to get it because most of you are in underfueling by massive amounts. A, because you don't know what you're doing. B, because you're not paying attention. And C, because a lot of triathletes are more concerned with underfueling to feel skinny than fueling for performance. I just don't need calories. And I think one of the things that we oftentimes forget is that when you're training, at least if you're training consistently, you're not just fueling for the workout that you're in, but the workout you're going to do next. And you need practice, especially if you do one of these race type fueling plans, that you're going to need time to what they would consider training your gut. And that's to practice, over the winter before spring and summer gets here on consuming more fluids than you're probably used to. I think that's one of the things that we've always posted some Cody Beals articles. He's an awesome triathlete and also a very good writer, and he's posted many times on I think his website about training his gut and how he has trained it to where he can basically take in like 475 calories an hour on the bike for an Ironman, which is just insane to me, especially when you look at like the size of the guy. So anyway, I think it's a great thing, and it's a great time of year to do it because you've got time to nail it down, and the process takes a little while. But again, it's not something that you're going to see results with overnight. It's something you need to practice, but you also need to get informed. And that in race nutrition is an area in which most athletes just wing it. And most of you are crashing because your wings are terrible when you wing it. So do some type of race fueling plan. Reach out to a company or a person that you know that can do it, not just because you're a guy or not just because you're a girl, but because of your weight, your height, your goals, your body fat percentage, and then most importantly, your sweat loss. All these things are what can tie into allowing you to perform the best you can. You can have a great car, you can have a great engine, but if you don't get the oil change, don't put gas in it, guess what? You're going to run it in the ground, and it's not going to be able to perform as well as you want to when it matters.
Yeah, man, I'm definitely one of those wingers.
Winger for sure.
Winger for sure. I mean, I try to keep it fairly stable during the races. I keep a fairly solid plan I wouldn't even say solid, but it's consistent. But you're right. I think that there's definitely, because it's one of those things where some days you're like, man, that worked, and you don't even really know what it was. You just that's kind of the problem, right? Is like some days you're just, man, I thought I did that last time, but maybe you missed like 2 or 3 steps. So it is probably good to have that stuff in black and white.
It's one of those things that, while most athletes want to obsess over meaningless metrics and data and training peaks or or it's like, dude, write down what you took, on a day that things worked, right? And not just what you took during, but what you took the morning of, and then also what you took what you ate the night before. Like all these things, like everything's connected, right? And you can't jump to conclusions, but it's just always good to look back and see. And the reason I love working with them is that after they do all the testing and you give them all the information, you have a 1-hour call, then they give you plans for half marathon, and then everything from a sprint distance to a full Ironman. And then they also give you what to eat and when to eat it the 2 days before your race of all those distances. Like it's well worth it for as much time as most athletes put into obsessing about, well, let's be honest, for as much time as most athletes do obsessing about the weather and perusing the Ironman website and scrolling meaninglessly through the bib list, that's basically the amount of time you could put towards dialing in your nutrition and doing something like this to allow you to perform better on race day.
Yeah. It's not
Step 1, baby. Step 1. Number 2, find and purchase the biggest pull buoy you've ever seen.
Okay.
Here's the reason. And I'm a huge fan of, and this is like, back to when it's like the only time I should feel like we should have sponsors because I'm going to send people money. But the NA pull buoy is my favorite. ENEY. The reason being is that if you've listened to this podcast for any amount of time, especially in the beginning or any of the How to Not Sick at Swimming series, I believe there are 5, you know how much of a fan I am of the pull buoy. And for good reason. And one of the biggest reasons is because a pull buoy is meant to assist you in being able to swim more and swim longer and increase strength. The biggest issue you find is for people who, again, the same people that want to go spend $890 on the top of the line wetsuit or $400 air helmet at an Ironman Expo, won't even fork over the amount of money to just drop $20 on a pull buoy. They just want to use the one that's for free at the Y that has like 19 chunks out of it for some like 3-year-old to bite out of it and wouldn't float, a toy sailboat. They're like the smallest things in the world. And I've seen people, and I've even seen athletes send me swim analysis with a pull buoy in, and I'm like, you can barely see it. I'm like, do you have a pull buoy in right now? Because it's so small. It's like somebody took a Q-tip and 2 cotton balls and glued them together. I'm like, that's like, dude, that's not going to cut it. Like, you need something, especially for athletes who are weaker upper body and who have, this is true with a lot of athletes, you have the muscles in your legs are large because you come from a running or a cycling background. So again, that's going to weigh you down. So you're having really, really poor body positioning. So you need the biggest pull buoy you can find, or you need 2 pull buoys. I've even seen athletes and recommended some athletes take the biggest pull buoy they can find, not the NA buoy, but like the biggest one they can purchase. Because again, these are going to last you forever. Okay, it's one of the best investments you can make. They're going to last you forever, and cut out holes and then fill it with cork. Like, that's how much more you need the assistance of the pool buoy. And it's not to make things harder. It's to get you to a point to where you can swim more, you can swim more often. Because most of you, and as I've done like what feels like 19 swim analysis this week, the majority of athletes that I see and that I get video from, your kick, the kick that you feel like you must do, that is taking up 75% of your oxygen intake because the muscles are so big. Not only is it making you winded because those muscles require so much more oxygen in your upper body, but here's the bad news. It's slowing you down like an insane amount, because 99% of triathletes don't even know how to kick because they don't kick from their hips, they kick from their knees. So that herky-jerky motion you get from your knee is actually not propelling you forward. It's just stopping and starting you in the water and slowing you down. Not to mention it's way out of rhythm with your stroke. So again, it's about assisting you. It's about allowing you to get to the pool and focus on the one thing that matters most for most people, and that is their stroke, and that is their mechanics, that is the strength of their pull and their upper body. It allows you to do that, and it allows you to not feel so daggum out of breath. Because again, like, that's the biggest rub you get from athletes. Like, I just can't get any better because I'm so winded the whole time. Then you see a video, and I'm like, that's because you're kicking like you're trying to blast off to Mars. And you're not going anywhere. You've actually sunken down farther to the core of the earth. Stop kicking, relax, work on your upper body, and just focus for a minute. Like, the analogy I could give is it's like telling a basketball player that you need to learn to do like a running on the move stop jump shot first before you just learn how to make a standstill free throw. Simplify things, take away all the noise and all the extra mechanics you don't know how to do, and start trying to put things together piece by piece, not deconstruct it when you're so out of control and out of breath. So get the biggest pool buoy you can find. The reason I love the NA buoy is because it is basically like every pool buoy you need. It's two hollow plastic chambers, but that's just going to give you like maximum flotation. But the great thing about it is they have holes that you can actually add water in. As you get better and better and don't need as much assistance, you can add water to even things out. Or once you get really good and you're using it just for strength, you can add a specific amount of water to help to work more as like drag as more of a strength session. So it's fairly inexpensive. Get that, or any just gigantic pool buoy. Don't use the one that's like, again, the size of your hand and think, oh, this has got it going. Like, this is very, very true for dudes. I see a lot of guys with swim paddles bigger than their pool buoy. It should be the opposite. Your pool buoy should be twice the size of the paddles you use.
It's funny you bring that up because I've been back in the water lately trying to get my swim back, of course. And as you know, I normally wear those Roka sim shorts, and I went back to the water. I'm like, you know what? I'm not wearing those. And I just put my pull buoy in, and I really noticed a difference. It's like it's just so much harder right now. And I'm like, and then I'm doing this. I'm putting together this our How to Not Suck at Swimming ebook right now, which is going to have a bunch of this kind of stuff and videos and all kinds of things. And yeah, I went through that section where you said get 2 pull buoys. So I was like getting ready to go back to the pool today, and I was going to do that because it's like it's not helping me find the love of swimming right now. I'm struggling because I'm just I'm super weak in the upper body, at least swim fitness. So I love it.
Get you a bigger one, man.
I'm going to go get one of those big ones.
Go big or go home.
Yeah.
Number 3. Please, for the love of all things, get a really good bike fit. For the amount of time an athlete is on their bike in training, not only do you want to be in the best position possible to produce the most power, but also be comfortable. You also don't want to be sitting up in the wind like a sail. We have all been on a 70.3 course, an Ironman course, and you look over and you see Johnny T. Triathlete with the most expensive aero helmet, the deepest front wheel, a disc wheel, and a $14,000 bike, sitting up like he's trying to sail around the world with the worst bike fit you have ever seen. He is catching more air on his stomach and his chest than he is on his head and over his back. Please find someone that's reputable. Don't just go to your bike shop. No offense to bike shops, but a lot of them have absolutely no idea what they're doing. Just in the last few months, I have had to tweak multiple athletes' fits just from like sending me a picture on their phone because it's been so terrible. The other, not just from being aero and being comfortable and producing power, but I also can't tell you how important it is to have someone look at your crank length and your contact points. These are the two places where a lot of fitters don't even like go to. They don't want to worry about changing cranks. They don't worry about putting shims in your shoes or adjusting your cleat placement or advising on different pedals or placement. They just want to get you in and get you out and gone on the right bike that's perfect for them to get out of it so they can free up some cash and some space. The contact point on your bike is so important. The contact point, okay, and the crank length being shorter or longer cranks because that affects your pedal stroke and that goes along with your bike size. But the other thing is your hip angle. I would venture to say 7 out of 10 athletes that come to me with a hip flexor issue or some kind of niggle that shows up on the run, guess where it comes from?
Bike?
The bike. At least 7 out of 10 times. And here's the deal. The reason you don't feel it on the bike is because you're not putting so much pounding on it. But even just the last few months, I've worked with athletes that have cured all of their quote-unquote run pain from fixing their bike fit. So many issues you can have with poor cleat placement, how your knees are lined up, your crank length, how close your hip angle is, how forward you're sitting in your aero position. Like all those things, they might not show up on the bike, but then when you go run, hello, they're there. So not only is it going to help your bike, right? You're being comfortable, being aero, because again, there's also a happy medium between being aero, but then getting weaker as you get more aero and producing less power. You want to find that happy medium where you're producing the right kind of power, but also aero to where it's a net gain, not because you'll see a lot of athletes who are so aero that their hip angle is so close and where they're sitting on the saddle is so bad that they're actually producing so much less power that yes, they look aero, but they can't produce the same amount of power. And once you ask them to go from flat back Fred churning down the Ironman course, now he needs to come and go run. He can't because he doesn't have the core strength and lower back strength to hold that for a long period of time. So he collapses on the run. So find someone that's very reputable and to do a great bike fit that understands the demands of what's going to be asked of you on race day, how your training is doing, and especially even if you've had one in the last year, the chances are that your body has changed. You become more flexible, you become more unflexible. Always get things tweaked. Don't just get one and think this is who I am for the rest of my life. Tweak things, look at things, especially if you're going from shorter distance to long course. That fit probably needs to change. A lot of athletes can't hold a short course fit that's super aero, that's or what I would consider really aggressive for a long period of time. You need to lighten things up. So if you're getting a fit and they're not asking what distances you're doing and they're not making tweaks based on that, then you need to find somebody who's going to do a better job. So ask around, ask a ton of questions, and don't just take the fit that you got from the guy who just sold you the $8,000 bike as the fit that you need to keep. Because a lot of times you're going to need different crank lengths, you're going to need different base bar and aero pad widths and angles, you're going to need maybe even a different saddle, because most stock saddles are garbage. So look around, invest in a really, really, really good bike fit from a really, really good bike fitter. Biggest question you can ask them is, can I come back in a week or two and retweak it? Because there's only it's the same reason why I hate like places that want to fit your shoe when you come in to run on the treadmill for like 3 minutes. That's not real life. Okay? Go out and run. Like, let me see your gait in these perfect video with your barefoot running. And here's a Brooks Beast. Shocker. I got a Brooks Adrenaline or a Beast probably from a Fleet Feet. Like, run in real life, and then if you can't return them, don't. But if you're a bike fit, if you can't go out, because 20 minutes on the trainer isn't going to tell you anything from what you're going to feel after 2 to 3 hours, 4 hours on the road. These are things that need to be tweaked. So always ask beforehand, are you flexible? Can I come back and make little bitty tweaks here and there? A lot of good places will offer that and tell you that, go test it out, come back. If we need to tweak it, we will. So those are a couple of things you need to look for. Bike fits are important no matter what time of year it is or how long ago it was you got fit. Get fit by someone who's reputable, who does a good job, and who cares about your comfort and your performance, not just getting you out the door on your new, Felt IA 95 Di2 disc brake wheel. Oh, I'm on fire today, baby.
Yeah, man. Wow. Yeah.
Less coffee, too.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's kind of the key this week. It's been less coffee, and I'm in the zone.
Less coffee.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's actually a different coffee. This time of year, I'll get a couple gifts from athletes, and it's pretty much always coffee. And I'm on this one right now that Melissa Horton sent me. Shout out Melissa Horton. That is the jam. It's like and you know me, I like my coffee strong.
Yeah, right.
Most things are gauged by like stars. Well, I rate the coffee with like one of those like poop emojis, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and how many you have to take within like the first 2 hours, because that's how strong and good the coffee is.
Okay. So this is like a 5?
No. It's like the reverse. It's like the perfect level of strong without like the stomach issues. And it's like a peanut butter chocolate roast, but it's not. Yeah, but it's not really strong. You can't really taste it. Anyway, it's not only is a fascinating label to not taste it, it's outstanding coffee.
What's happening to you, man?
Just missed it. I don't know, dude. I'm getting soft. I know.
You'll be drinking decaf soon.
Whoa.
Like peppermint chamomile tea.
Stop it.
I can see it, man.
Listen, I got this like...
Is that a tea bag?
Stop it. I got this like Black Rifle Death Coffee from West Keene, and I haven't recovered. It's been like I think 2 months. It's the beans. You probably saw them. The beans are still on the top of the coffee machine, because I've been using just straight ground, and the machine we have grounds the beans, but it's still there. And I only go to it, and I go weak strength. I'm usually like a 3 up to the top strength, but on that one I've got to do like extra water, weak strength, just so I can. But yeah, it took me like 2 weeks to recover. The cup. Anyway, that was a small little coffee commercial. Yeah, thanks, West Keene. Number 4, get you some outdoor run gear, please. This is kind of a complimentary number 4 to our podcast on Monday. Yes, I know it's cold this time of year. For most of you, those of you that live on the West Coast or in Florida, we hate you right now anyway. But because you might like make a quote like Chris Diaz does in Training Peaks. It's like, it was so chilly this morning. It's 57. I'm like, oh my God, like, I gotta mute you. But get some outdoor run gear. Get some reflective gear. Get a headlamp. Get some gloves. Get some new tights. Get some new base layers. Anything that's going to allow you to get outside. I fell in love with running outside in general, but I fell in love with running outside in the cold when we lived in Kansas City. That was my first real experience being in a place where we get down to like 0 and like in the negatives. And I was loving running then. I love it. Listen, like, everyone wants to complain about the running right now because it's too cold outside. And then guess what? Come July, oh my God, it's so hot outside. I can't run. So basically, you're giving yourself like 3 months out of the year to run. Go outside and do yourself a favor. Ask your Tri-Santa for a new pair of tights, some gloves, a new toboggan, whatever it is, a headlamp, whatever it is. Load yourself up so you can keep getting outside. Don't retreat for the next 4 months to your treadmill and your iPad. Get out. Like, you don't get the same, not just physical benefits. Like, cast those aside for a second. You don't get the same mental and emotional benefits. I'm not talking about soaking in vitamin D, because a lot of it's like just dark and gloomy this time of year. But you just don't get the same benefits from zoning out, watching, Mean Girls on Netflix or Zwift than you do getting outside and feeling the cold air and running outside and hearing yourself breathe and working through your thoughts. They're just not the same. So again, like I think one of the biggest issues in athlete, and this is super common, we've talked about this before, is this time of year. One of the main reasons why athletes tend to lose motivation and get quote unquote down, yes, is it because of the cold? Yes, is it because of the sunlight? Yes, is it because race season's so far away? Absolutely. But the other main reason, so many athletes stick themselves inside for every single discipline. You swim inside in a pool, you bike inside on your trainer, you run inside on your treadmill, you do your weights inside in the gym. You aren't outside. Get outside. There is nothing more fulfilling than getting out the door and doing something. It can be, and don't tell me it's too cold, you can layer up pretty much anything. Like I had an athlete yesterday, I think it was like, yeah, it was like -10. Now that's not my flavor. I might delay things or wait till the middle of the day, but just get outside. I truly think that it's not so much a motivation thing this time of year or a commitment level or you're getting down. It's got everything to do with where we choose to spend our time. And if you choose to spend all of your time inside, it gets to you. I mean, I think everyone has this. You get there, we all know there's a thing called cabin fever. You just hate being stuck inside because it starts to wear on you. It starts to eat at you. You just have to quote unquote. I just got to get out. I got to go outside. We got to go do something. It's the same thing. It's the same principle. It's the same approach you can take to training this time of year, exercising or whatever it is. Just do something and buy whatever it needs to gear you need to have. Don't make purchases that are going to entertain you, quote unquote, because that's what things are now. So many like the new apps and devices, people they're all entertainment, right? They're there to appease our lack of focus. Get outside, do something outside, anything, and if that means buying more outdoor run gear, then do it. Just get outside.
Yeah, you don't have to convince me, man.
No, man, you were one of the very first people that are like, dude, you got to get outside and run. I love, you're a Wisconsin guy. You got Wisconsin blood, even though it may have been a little bit with your to Nashville climate. But let me ask you this for the I know the answer probably, but how many times would you venture to say you've ran on a treadmill in the last 5 years?
5 years? Well, it was twice in Ohio. At one time we were up there. Maybe five. Five times. 5 or 6. I certainly haven't in the last year or more. And a lot of that, man, is like, we talk about outdoor run gear. I kind of always had that Rocky movie in my head forever. I just put on my hoodie and go, man. And baggy sweats or whatever usually, or even shorts lately. It doesn't get super cold in Nashville, but it does get in the 20s a lot or whatever, in the teens sometimes. And I personally think, man, that running in the cold helps you run in the summer. That's just
for sure.
I mean, it's just it's stress. It's a stressor thing, and you just have to really work on. And I actually commented on somebody this morning, one of our athletes, about running in the cold, and I think it's all about and it is relative. Some people have to deal with a lot colder air, obviously, but
true.
To me, it's about relaxing, because they're like, it takes your breath away. Yeah, it does, and to me, that's, you talk about training. I talk about training your breath. Those things you don't really think about. But like, if you can practice getting out in that cold weather and be relaxed out there, that's a huge skill to build. And I think it transfers into the way you handle heat too. I don't know exactly how, the science of everything, but I just believe it.
Well, maybe. I think you just get in better fitness, and so you can handle it. I mean, it's about conditions, and I think so much of it is also about, it's not making yourself tough; it's showing you that you are tough.
Yeah,
right. It's not. I don't think it makes you tougher. It's like, I can do it again because I know I did it last time.
Well, it's that adaptation, man. It really is that.
I just think there's something, and I mean, yes, do I Do I think you have to do it for every run? No. Like, yes. Do I think that it gets cold enough to where you should, and I recommend staying inside, especially if it's something like, hard intervals. It's probably best that you're on the treadmill and play it safe. If you feel like you're coming down with a cold, stay inside. But if you have the opportunity, you feel healthy. Like, I left the house this morning, I think around 6:10, and here on East Coast, or in Chattanooga at least, since we're so close to Central, it doesn't get light until like 7:30 right now. And I put on a headlamp because the road close to us has like no street lights and it's hard to see. And so I put a headlamp, and I enjoyed it because I could see my breath coming up on the headlamp, and I haven't been listening to music, and it was just, I don't know, it definitely took me a while to kind of get warmed up because it was so cold. It was like low 20s, and that's cold for us right now. But I enjoyed it. It was a hard run, but I enjoyed it. I felt good about it. I felt energized out of it. I didn't just get it done. So get some outdoor run gear, find a way to do something outside, and to again, like, just get rid of that indoor cabin fever that so many people fall trapped to this time of year.
Yeah. I just think it's harder, in better, like, for you, like, for you to get out. It's tough. One thing to get up early in the dark and run, but then you add like 20-degree weather or whatever. If you can get yourself to the point where that's not a big deal, that's a win, man. It's like jumping in a cold pool. The more you do it, the less it bothers you. And
exactly.
Then you take those elements out of everything. It's like, I'm not worried about, because I shouldn't say most, but a lot of races are pretty chilly in the morning. And if you're not fazed by that, and the whole morning is just like, hey, let's just do it, I think that's a win.
Yeah, you are afraid of what you tell yourself you fear, and so many times that stuff isn't even true. I can't do heat weather. I can't do hot weather. I can't do hot weather. I can't. Well, of course you can, because you've basically convinced yourself and your body that you can't. So any sign of weakness that shows itself when things are hot is going to just reaffirm the fact that you can't. Instead of figuring out ways and putting yourself in environments and situations to prove yourself that you can.
All right, buddy. Which
brings myself to number 5. You can't purchase this for the most part. Go out and find yourself some accountability. That can look like anything. This isn't me telling you to go get a coach, me telling you to go get a training plan. This is, listen, everyone needs accountability. Everyone, in professional, personal, whatever, everyone has people in their life that hold them accountable, that are leaders in their industry, or are leaders on their team, or are managers, or are, quote unquote coaches. I work with a lot of people who are very high level, business professionals, and they have, business coaches. Accountability is huge, because not only does it keep your eye on the prize and keep you, whether it's like balancing internal, external motivation, but it keeps you on the right path, but it also allows you to remember what's right and what's wrong, but also what's important most of the time. Then sometimes it's okay not to be important, when to take days off, when not to take days off. Sometimes just a little, and again, it can be anything. Like, my wife was getting on, like, who I'm her coach. She already has a coach, but she needed, like, it's different when you coach your wife, but she needed like a little more accountability to hop on doing more run frequency. And so she does this app that, like, it lets you track her, and it has always just been me on there. And so she also added one of her other friends on there to track, to show her that she's out there running. And last week, I think she was missing her run, and this accountability partner sent her a text and was like, hey, why haven't you run today? And it's little things. It's little things like those that, and again, like, that's one of the biggest things that athletes say when they get coaching. It's like, and again, it could be accountability any way. It could be a person, a friend, a spouse, another triathlete that you work out with. It could be anything. You could establish and create a form of accountability however you want. But one of the biggest areas that athletes say that I've always struggled with it is commitment, I guess. Commitment to consistency is just saying, I just keep doing it because I know someone's watching. And I know you're going to check in. And if you don't check in, and I don't do it, I'm probably going to hear about it. Not hear about it as like, why didn't you do it? But you're just going to ask. And a lot of it isn't about telling you about their workout and how you did it, because there's only so much you can tell an athlete from a 30-minute zone 2 run. It's I guess you could switch the phrase accountability to positive affirmation. Because most athletes will tell you, this goes for all coaches, that some of the most meaningful and quote unquote inspiring things you can do is just tell them great job. Great job today. Way to work. Just the simplest 2, 3, 4, 5 word sentences can make all the difference in the world. So find a way to mix accountability with positive affirmation and support. Because again, we live in a society where there's not a lot of that anymore. And so find a person, find a friend, find a coach, find a training plan, find a group, find something that's not only going to hold you accountable to your goals, the ones that you believe you can achieve, even though you might not always. You're going to have those ebbs and flows of self-doubt and negative self-talk. They're going to bring you up and hold you accountable and remind you. Because again, accountability isn't about reminding you when you did something wrong or you didn't do something. Accountability is about showing that positive affirmation. Way to work. You didn't have to do this today, but you did.
Yeah.
See, you can do this. It's about proving to you through another person's eyes that you can do these things. And there are people there that are going to support you and have the things, and are going to say the things that you need to hear, whether you like it or not, to keep pressing forward.
Yeah. No, I think that's good. I like the positive affirmation angle on that because for whatever reason, accountability, that word has always had a negative connotation in my mind. And I know that's probably on me a lot because I take it as like why are they jumping in my business kind of thing? Mm-hmm. But you're right. It's just really, it's finding sort of an ally in your journey, really, more than anything, because there's something powerful about, like you can, when you isolate in this sport and you kind of go into your own world or whatever, and it's easy to sort of like lose track and lose your why. And I think it's good to have somebody around sort of just affirming things and pointing out when, I'm glad you mentioned that 30-minute run or whatever, the zone 2 run, because those are sometimes when I see athletes, nailing those, I'm always pretty good about going in there and making sure that I tell them that's a great job, because those are the easiest ones to blow off sometimes. And, it's easy to blow off a tough workout too, but that really eats at people. I think that'll sort of take care of itself because they feel bad if they miss a big run or something or a big bike. But those easy little runs that we put in there, those are the ones that add up, and those are the ones that are kind of easy to not even think much about, but I think they're super important just because of the consistency and all that sort of stuff. So accountability as in supporting somebody to help them. It's when you have somebody that's like-minded and on your team really helping you, it makes a big difference.
It's so, listen, like it's like the three A's: accountability, affirmation, and an ally. We all need those three types of, whether it's people or attitudes, whatever it is, to support us, push us forward, pull us back, walk by our side, whatever it is. You need those people, again, like true people, not people who are going to like your Facebook post because you ran. That's not accountability, in my opinion. You want somebody who's going to be there to help you talk through those things and affirm you when you're doing them right. And however that looks to you, be accountable. Find someone to help you with that that's going to provide positive affirmation and be an ally. Accountability. Number 6. Oh, it's that time of year. Everyone wants a smart trainer. Everyone wants a smart, even though I think they make people dumb. Smart trainers are the biggest thing right now. You got Wahoo, Tay6, whatever it is. People are buying smart trainers like they're candy right now. If you have to spend money, or you feel like you need to spend money on a smart trainer, and you don't have a power meter, get a power meter first. Power meters have become so inexpensive relative to where they used to be when it was just like Cork and SRM. They were all like over $2,000. Now you can get a lot of pedal bass or even crankbass ones for under $750. Buy yourself a power meter before you invest in a smart trainer, because a lot of good smart trainers like the same cost as a power meter. But you'd be shocked at how many people, again, the whole the whole reason, right, that athletes get power meters is so they can train with it and race with it. But I know so many athletes that have invested in having quote unquote power on their smart trainer, $700, $800, right? And they don't have it on their bike. So when they go outside and they go race, they have nothing. Again, it just goes back to the entertainment. Are you buying entertainment, or are you buying something like there is nothing that you can do more with a smart trainer that you should and can and do it almost perfectly with a regular $250 trainer from Cyclops or wherever and a power meter on your bike. That's it. Keep it simple, work hard, and again, if you want to improve your bike, just get a regular crappy trainer off Craigslist and invest in getting a power meter on your bike, not just one that you can put in your entertainment cave. You know, people call them pain caves. They're now more like entertainment caves. It's like, you know, how many eight, you know, I need 8, 38-inch wide flat screens in my quote unquote pain cave. Like, dude, you have more screens in there than most people have in their entire house.
It's like
not
an
a pain
EDM
cave,
club,
dude.
man.
Seriously, dude. It's an entertainment cave, right? It's your virtual hangout world. So, smart trainer, don't do it if you're trying to spend money and you're balancing, like, should I get a power meter for my bike or a smart trainer? Get a power meter on your bike and keep your, the trainer you've had for what, like 8 years that hasn't ever had a problem, that still works just fine. Then, having to upload this and download this, and resistance was this, and my power went out, and it wouldn't change gears. And like, it is that time of year where like 1 in every 30 cycling workouts is interrupted or not done correctly or have to be aborted because of power or too much resistance, or I put in ERG mode or whatever. I'm like, you know what? Never had a problem with my $200 trainer that never broke, and it still exists to this day and still does the exact function that it needs to, which is provide resistance
and hold up your bike
and let me do the rest. Oh, and guess what? I know this is something that athletes forget about, and I kind of joked about it with an athlete last week. It's okay for you to shift your own gears on the bike. I know. An athlete, like, hey, my trainer had to send back, so I'm not gonna be able to do the workout like this. I'm like, dude, you still have your old trainer? Yes. Well, then get on it and shift gears. Like you do on the road, like you do during a race. Shift gears. Like, and you wonder why people like continuously wreck on these races, and you're seeing it more and more and more, is because people have zero idea how to ride their bike. They just sit on it, and the trainer does thing. You become mindless athletes amongst 3,000 other mindless athletes that have no idea how to maneuver and adjust and brake and shift and move and steer. It's like, where is my green jersey on Zwift where I don't have to brake, I don't have to change gears, I don't have to think, just let me pedal harder, because it's all about pedaling harder, baby. Yeah, well, if you can't stay upright, it's not about pedaling harder. Like, just think about those things. That's your public service announcement for today.
Oh, man.
I know. Don't get me. I'm just on a.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to let go and embrace technology more and more, because it's just, you can't stop it. It's like sooner or later we're not even going to be driving, and
yeah, we are.
You think?
For sure.
Well,
sure. I am.
You're going to be the problem.
I am. I'm going to be the problem, man.
There's a point when everybody's going to be like, "Hey,
I know. I got trust issues with like vehicles.
Listen, old man, you got to get off the road."
I'm going to be like the 85-year-old guy. It's like, why is that person even driving right now? Like,
there's one accident a year, and it's guys like you.
My grandma, Mimi, she's like 92, and she still drives, and I'm like, oh my god, like, how do you even get from point A to point B? I can't. Because she can't even make it from like the kitchen to the den sometimes. I'm like, how are you getting to go get your hair done? I just don't get it. But yeah, that'll probably be me. But yeah, and listen, I'm not bashing, it probably sounds like it, smart trainers. Most of my athletes that I work with have them. I'm just saying, like, they have their benefits. Just don't use them to the point to where you don't have to like think or do any work yourself. Don't let it inhibit things. Let it complement. Don't let it inhibit. And that's the issue I have with it, is that, and so again, like, so much of technology now is meant to replace having to like critically think and do things. And when you're put in a situation in real life to where you have to critically think, you don't have those skills. The deductive reasoning, like that's what. Anyway, I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole. This is a Christmas cast. I'm gonna keep things cheery. But if you're gonna spend the dough, spend it on something that you can use outside and when you're raced. So pick a power meter over a smart trainer every day of the week. Power meter first, smart trainer second.
Well, there's something to it, man, because like the further we get away from, I think a lot of this, what irritates me is that it takes you further away from understanding your body and how your mind and connects to it and things like that. And I think it's important, to have good feel and understand what's going on without that stuff is the good baseline. It's the fundamentals, and then you add that stuff and make yourself better, not just depend on it 100%. Because it's, there's a lot of variables, man.
A lot of variables.
Yep.
Last but not least, number 7.
Yeah, number 7.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'll bring this one short. Last but not least, number 7. If you have to invest in anything this coming year, you had to pick one out of this 7. Invest in yourself. Bet on yourself. Believe in yourself. Put your money on yourself. There are so many athletes that struggle with performance and not believing in themselves and not doing the things they need to do because they just don't believe in themselves. So believe in yourself.
Man, that coffee is doing a number on you, man.
Right, I'm telling you, it's that peanut butter chocolate.
You're just a sweet man today.
I'm a sweet man today, and I just got the look because I'm over my conference room time of get the heck out of here. But yeah, seriously, 100% believe in yourself. Like, again, there's so many athletes struggle with self-doubt, and I think purchasing items is one of those things of an extension of not believing in ourselves because it takes a lot of work to believe in ourselves and to do the things we want to do and accomplish our goals. It's just easier to click a button and think it's going to help us get us there. So believe in yourself. And if you believe in this podcast, head on over. CrushingIron.com is our one-stop shop for all things training, coaching, gear, you name it, it is there. Check it out. If you got questions, you can always hit up Mike, crushingiron@gmail.com. Or if you have any questions or comments for me, C26coach@gmail.com.
All right, man. Bet on yourself. Believe in yourself today. I know you
And
do.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to everybody, and we will see you Monday.
See you next time.
All right. See ya.
All right. See you.
Down, 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 be alright.